morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. It's time to wake up. It's me, your local nightmare and night terror, Pan Moran here. Hey! I hope everyone's having a good day so far. For me, I've just been mainly just relaxing a lot. Even at work, there wasn't really a lot going on. And I decided, I was just man, I was just spending my time mostly relaxing at work because, nothing happened at all today. I really wish that I could just work from home because I'm so tired of having to, dress up, drive to work, and all of that stuff. It's super annoying. And on top of that, my boss has changed up some stuff too. She keeps adding all of these really ridiculous new rules that don't make sense. For example, so we have to do this thing where we schedule things in a calendar, right? And for some reason, she's decided that despite the calendar already having an area where you put in the time and it automatically sets that in the calendar, she wants us to put it in the title too. And if we don't, we get in trouble for it. I don't know why that is. I think that's insanity. I really don't know what is going on through her head some days. Let me get a bit of this drink. Because most calendar apps don't add times to the listing data. Hi, Carol. Hi. We use Microsoft Outlook. We use the calendars that are in there, and I'm just yeah, it's annoying, but her choice to punish for that is kind of asinine. Exactly! If it was hey guys, I'd really appreciate it if you can do that. That's one thing. Being hey, I'd really appreciate that. This is just something that I need from you guys. That's one thing. But to be hey, you're going to be in trouble. I want to write you up if you don't put the time in. She didn't even bother asking first. She just comes out with the write-ups first thing. And I'm what is going on, dude? Pure laziness? I know. She recently got in trouble too because after I returned from my medical leave, I was hey, I can't clock in. I can't clock into my job. And she was oh, okay, Pan, let me see what's going on here. And then a week passes and I'm hey, were you able to fix my time? And then she doesn't respond. And then paychecks come out and I have not been paid. And I start calling HR and I'm hey, where's my pay? My boss said she'd fix the hours. Where are they? And they called her up and it's why didn't you fix Pan's thing? You should have had this done by Monday. And she was oh. Yeah, big oof. Luckily, they were able to get me the money same day, but I was still dude, what are you doing? I messaged you and reminded you. Personally, I feel if you're a manager, you don't need your team to hold your hand and remind you through every single thing you're doing. And unfortunately, she's that type of person. If we're using Jira, for example, and it's not working, then we let her know. We're hey, there's something wrong with my account. It's not letting me set up tickets the right way. And she's okay, I'll look into it. And we're like, okay. And then like 2 weeks pass and we go, hey, what's going on there? Like, why isn't it fixed yet? And she goes, oh, well, since you hadn't said anything, I thought it fixed itself. What? There's a catchphrase for this, promoted to your level of incompetence or something like that. Yeah, it really feels that way. Because there's a lot of people that would be way more competent than her at her job. The biggest thing is that she's great at making it seem like she's not at fault for anything. And that, you know, it's so-and-so's fault, or it's the company's fault about this. Like, she's the person that repeatedly said to everybody, oh, my team doesn't like me because they don't like taking orders from a woman, even though everyone respects the other manager in the office, who is a woman. Like, come on. I haven't heard of Peter Principle before. But yeah, like, today is one of those days where I'm just like, oh my God, this person. In a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to his level of incompetence. Ah, I see. Oh my God, I'm just like, eh. This would be a great time for me to be able to stick out my mouth on my model, or stick out my tongue. That's what I did there. I went, eh. And that's what you get instead. I bite my thumb at her, sir. I do not bite my thumb at you, but I bite my thumb at her, sir. Sticking out your mouth is scarier, though, like an alien. You're so right, though. Oh my God. I'm trying to think about, like, the other thing is, she's very much, she reminds me of a narcissistic mom. And she treats everyone in the team as if they're her children. Like, she makes all of these rules, but the rules don't apply to her. Like, for example, one of the rules is you cannot wear headwear in the office. And I think that's fine. We handle a lot of money. It makes sense not to have headwear because, you know, you want the cameras to be able to see who's walking around. So why is she always wearing a hat every single day I see her? She's always wearing a hat, and I'm always like, what are you doing? You're the one that made this rule. You literally have it taped up at the door. Hey, don't wear a hat. It's not allowed. And yet you're out here wearing it the whole time. And then I think the worst part too is that she keeps making all of these changes to, like, all of these changes that massively impact our day-to-day life without talking to people about it. Like, that one coworker I had who got fired recently. The reason he got fired is because he was very pissed at her. Basically, she messages him and she's like, hey, when are you ready to move to this shift? We need you on this shift. And he said, what? I can't move shifts. Like, I have other things I'm doing throughout the day. I can't just move shifts. And she said, okay, we'll have a meeting with our boss, with our, like, director about it. And you can talk about it with him. And he said, okay. And then she messages back, hey, I talked with human resources and the director, and we've decided that we don't need to have that meeting anymore, and you just need to take that position. And mind you, she never said anything like, hey, you know, we're really short-handed right now, really short-staffed. I really would appreciate it if you could move to this shift. Never asked. Just was like, when are you available to move to this shift? Like, everything she does is an order. And yeah, she's a boss. But I feel like as the people that work under her, there's a certain degree of respect we should be receiving. And like, hell, I'm autistic. I'm autistic as hell. But even I know to be polite if I'm asking someone for something. So basically they were wanting him to like have a whole nother like shift, like a whole different one, and not have his current shift. And that really didn't work for him because C-suite gives orders, supers, and mid-management are merely suggestion givers. Yeah. So he was just really mad about that because the schedule he had worked for him. And she was not willing to give him any sort of leniency period. Was just like, I need you here immediately. And she did not like that he was like, hey, I can't do that. He was like, hey, I can't do that. It doesn't work for my shift. When I joined, I agreed to this schedule, and you guys cannot change it on me like this. And she just did not like that. So he's no longer here. I'm leaving out some other parts of it, but like, she definitely led to him getting fired because she just did not like that. And one of her new asinine suggestions is the following. So as you know, I work in Texas. Here in Texas, you are not required to have a break. Like, you can work a straight 8 hours and go home. And I prefer that. I've always had jobs like that. And I like it because I would rather spend 8 hours at work than 9 hours and be forced to take a lunch. Now, according to her, it is illegal for us to not have a lunch, and we could be sued for it. However, according to the employment rights, it's not mandatory for us to like need a lunch or anything like that. And that's like state and federal. But if they give us a lunch, then it has to be no work involved during that period of time. Otherwise, that is not considered a lunch break. And she didn't really ask anybody about if they wanted this, which she never asks anybody about anything. She shifts schedules on the drop of a penny. She like changes orders and changes the entire way things are doing just by word of mouth. She does not write down any of the changes that she does. Right? And it's so annoying because now what she wants us to do is she wants us to come into work 30 minutes early. That way we can clock in 30 minutes early and have a 30-minute lunch that we clock out for. The issue is we do not have enough bodies to facilitate that. For example, I worked today. While I was working today, I was the only person in the office. If I go to lunch and leave and something happens, like, I have no control over it. I wasn't there. But she doesn't think about that. She's just like, oh, I just want you guys to clock out for your lunches. And she's like, oh, I know all of y'all have been wanting to take your lunches. Nobody wanted that. Nobody gave a shit about that at all. She just decides this stuff for us instead of talking with us about it. It's so annoying. So anyway, now she's forcing everybody to come in 30 minutes early so they can have a 30-minute lunch they clock out for. Which means me, who has multiple days where I am alone in the office, I'm going to be taking all of my breaks. I'm going to take my 2 15-minute breaks and my 1 30-minute break. And if something happens during that time, that's on her. She implemented this when she did not have enough bodies to handle this, and that is her fault. So when I'm out there on lunch, I'm not taking any calls. I'm not doing anything. And then if she calls me up and it's like, hey, Pan, you know, where were you during this time? And I'm like, I was on lunch. It says so right here. It says so right here that I was on lunch. And she's going to be like, oh, well, this whole thing happened. And like, if you're going to go on lunch, can you just keep your phone on you to do this? And I'm be like, no, I can't. Because if you're giving me a lunch, it needs to be, what's it called? I'm trying to think of the word. If you're going to make me work during my lunch, that means that it is, you guys are making me do work off the clock, which is illegal. And I can sue you for that. I can. So if y'all ever fire me, I can sue you for that instantly. Power mode. I'd step it up one rather than let the company hang for her bad ideas. What do you mean by step it up one, by the way? This is why anyone with the ability to make clones themselves would take all the jobs. See, I disagree. Well, it depends, I think. It depends on how independent each clone is. Like, if the clone is the equivalent of like a simplistic artificial intelligence, where you're like, hey, set an alarm for me, and then it does, then yeah, all the jobs would be taken. However, if it's like, oh, they have all their own feelings and it's just like 10 of you, nah, I don't think so. I'd rather use the 10 of me to play games, not work. You'd rather, oh, you want me to take it to her boss. See, that's the thing. We've tried that already. I don't know if you remember, the end of last year, I was talking about this same boss and how she randomly got up in front of everybody. Okay, let me just summarize this again. So, we were talking about the rules that she made and how they apply to employees that are not at our location, and how we want to send these rules to those employees so that they are aware of what is expected of them, right? And we said, oh yeah, these are the rules that she came up with. And she then steps up in front of everybody and goes, see, this is why I'm tired of y'all bitches always complaining and all this stuff. Y'all need to, if y'all actually want to change something, y'all need to talk to me instead of being over here bitching and all that. And I'm like, no one was cursing. No one was even talking about her in a derogatory way. We were talking about rules that she provided us. So I don't even know where that came from, because that's insane. Oh. So because of that, and a variety of other issues, such as her making decisions for the team and lying to higher ups about how it was actually going, we all, and I mean every single person in our department, signed a document stating, yeah, everything in this Everything in this report is completely accurate, and we submitted it to HR, and HR decided, nah, it's fine. That's what they decided. Her boss backed her up and said, yeah, it seems like these people, they don't respect her because she's a woman, and blah, 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 and all of this stuff. That's what her boss said to HR. So after that point, a lot of people were like, okay, this proves to us that this job is nothing. Because our own manager specifically told everybody in our department that none of us are worth promoting to manager because we're too incompetent for it. And all of management was apparently okay with that. So there is no future staying in this company. And there's a lot of people that want to join a company where they have the ability to move up. And I'm neutral about it. I want to be able to get the most money that I can while having the least amount of stress possible. So I want to have as much money as I can without being in a salaried position where I'm expected to do things off the clock. Now, maybe there's a job I can have where, like, it would be worth it, where I can maybe work from home salaried and everything would be great. But as of right now, that doesn't exist. So I'm fine with working there and staying there for the, like, I think it's like 23 an hour that I get. But a lot of others were not okay with that because they want to move up. And this has made it clear that this company condones this type of harassment, and that because she is our manager, no one will be able to move up. So being a demon on the internet is basically the goal? I mean, no. I'm going to be honest, no. Streaming is probably never going to be a job for me. Well, streaming is always going to be a secondary job. Let me put it that way. Because I love content creation. It is not only a hobby, but it's something that I genuinely love doing. Like, back when I first started making content in 2009, I posted videos daily. Like, I had vlogs, I had gameplays and commentaries. At some point, I started doing podcasting. I would have recording sessions of upwards of 9 to 13 hours, cutting those apart and posting them in 30-minute snippets onto YouTube. It was something that I genuinely enjoyed doing. And, like, yeah, it's a hobby, but there's things that I want to do that I need money for. Like, I want to be able to make covers. I want to be able to make cool 3D things and do little events and stuff. I think that would be really awesome to do. But the thing is that all of that money, I would want, like, a lot of my money that I get from my primary job, I would want to put into being able to create stuff. And that's why I don't think, like, it's one of those things that it's fun because it's at a hobby level. I don't know. I really don't. Because I can dedicate a lot of time to streaming if I wanted to. And I think I would want it to be a secondary job. Like, where I work maybe 16 hours a day. And one of those jobs is my 8-hour job. And then I come home and do whatever for the rest of the time. Because even while I'm at work, because there's nothing to do, I'm usually working on other streaming stuff. I'm, like, looking up artists, like looking at music lessons and all that stuff, which sucks too because I can only practice my vocal lessons when it's empty at work. So that's usually what I try to do. I'm like always working on being able to make stuff that I want. I don't really know where the line between a hobby and a full-time is, but I would want to be able to invest money into the own stuff that I do, basically. So that's the goal. Like, you know how people are like, they want a job that allows them to do everything they want to do in their private life. Yeah, that's basically what I want. Wait, hold on. I need to blow my nose real quick. There's my mic. Okay, I'm back. Oh, speaking of stream prep, I did a soft debut! Ooh! Oh, Zach, you saw it? Ooh, I hope it went well. I'm very excited to see you start streaming. Oh, you saw the live notification. I'm very excited to see Cariel start streaming. I very much am. I'm like grabbing him by the ankles and dragging him into VTuber hell. But yeah, I don't really know where the line between like hobby and full-time is. And I guess maybe the line is just how, what's it called? How much of a priority streaming is to you. The line is time commitment. Yeah, but even I commit time to this. Like, every Friday, I'm basically free all day Friday. But I spend the whole time working on music, basically. Like, I wake up, I drink some hot tea. Oh, unless if it's a D&D Friday. I wake up, I drink hot tea. Like put on karaoke versions of the song that I'm trying to sing, and I go through and I practice singing them. And like I try to be very strict with that. I've realized that it's probably not a good idea for me to be talking so much because I got a Starbucks Frappuccino here and it's filled with coffee and milk. And I'm like, damn. Yeah, but a full-time streamer is live almost every day, every week. That is true. Honestly, I could do that. I could be live every day, every week. The biggest issue is that my roommate does not drive. He's never gotten the chance to learn how to drive. And so, like, one of our friends is helping teach him right now. And it really sucks because, like, just don't do Midget. Oh no, I can't do that anymore. I used to be able to. I used to be able to have recording sessions of like 9 to 10 hours. But now I can only do that for special events like my birthday. Nowadays, I think the longest I really go is maybe 5 or 6 hours. I mainly only do 2 right now on specific days because this is my schedule, right? I work 3 p.m. to 11. I get home and I set up stream for streaming at midnight. I stream for however long I want to until I feel like the vibe of being a streamer has like petered out. Because I really only want to stream for the time that I'm like, yeah, I've got things to say, I've got things going on. Let's keep it going and rolling. Like, it's a certain vibe. Hi, Print Can. Welcome in. And then the issue is, regardless of that, I have to get up at 6 a.m. to then drive to my roommate's job, pick him up from work, and then, yeah, and that's because it's not full-time that Vibe works out. Oh, so you think it's like streaming until the Vibe wears out. How am I doing? I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit annoyed at work. Right now, I'm just talking about like what my daily schedule is. So I stream at midnight until the Vibe wears out, or until I'm like, okay, I need to actually go to sleep, because I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to drive to my roommate's job to pick him up from his place. And then I come back and it's around 8 a.m. And then I wake up at, let's see, I think I wake up at around 1 p.m. So I try to get 4 hours of sleep in before, I usually end stream around 2 a.m. because I try to get 4 hours of sleep, drive to my roommate's job, drive back, and then get another 4 hours of sleep. That usually makes me wake up around 12. And then I have to shower and eat breakfast to then leave for my job at 2. And yeah, if I could find a job that lets me work from home that pays as much as what I do now, oh my God, would I be streaming so much more. Oh my God. Like, when you're full-time, you gotta stream for the goal of making content regardless of your feelings. I see. Yeah, I feel like... It's weird because even at my current job, I will take days off if I'm mentally not there for it. I know a lot of streamers tend to feel really, really bad about taking time off. But I feel like even if I was a full-time streamer, I would be okay with taking time off. Because I just know when I'm just not going to be it for it. I don't even know if that makes any sense. But yeah, I know there's some people that are VTubers that like, they'll just push themselves and they'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing until, what's it called? They just keep pushing and pushing until they burn themselves out. And they end up with like vocal issues and health issues because they aren't taking care of themselves while they're streaming. And I think those people should try to take more breaks, because like, it's just not healthy to keep burning yourself like that. Sorry about that. I had to blow my nose again. Having a milk drink makes your mucus flow more, and that was a bad idea for me. Also, side note, I could do full-time streaming due to my situations. I just don't have motivation to do it as I'm unemployed. Yeah, I mean, streaming isn't for everybody. A lot of people try streaming and they realize they don't like it. I'm the type of person, like, a lot of people messaged me and are like, Han, why is it that you immediately went and bought yourself a like $1,200 model instead of just like being a PNG tuber? And I was like, because I already know I love streaming, or I already love content creation, I should say. This is just a new type of content creation for me. Not even VTubing, live streaming. Because all the other content I used to make were things where it would have post-production, editing, and then be published to the public. But right now, it's just straight up live stream and hi, I'm here, hello, how's it going? And yeah, I just really do enjoy streaming and just being like, do. I like the idea of streaming, I just don't talk much, or I'm happy to put someone else into the spotlight. I understand. Yeah, I've always liked content creation. I grew up on YouTube, basically. How do I put this? Just have me talk over you playing Subway Surfers, Zach. How do I put this? I started streaming in started making videos in 2009. I used to watch Hank Green, iJustine, Smosh. That's what I grew up on, right? And I was like, okay, I can make vlogs. That sounds fun. And then I started watching Machinimas and Super Best Friends. And then the first gameplay and commentaries I did was actually just me like getting a camera with a stand and pointing it at my TV. I'm not even joking, by the way. Like that's what I used to do. And I'm still not at a point where the amount of subscribers and followers I have are equal to all that content I made years ago. Like, me and my friends had a group channel because we were very much inspired by Super Best Friends and The Creatures and Achievement Hunter and like all of these groups that were friends that got together. And we had this channel. And what we would do is we would go on PlayStation Home every single night and walk around and pitch ourselves to random people. Which, if you don't know what PlayStation Home is, imagine VR chat, but PlayStation. So we would get onto this pre-VR chat era thing and we'd be like, oh my god, hey, hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, this is the type of stuff I do. Oh my god, yeah, I love these games. By the way, do you like watching YouTubers? Do you like watching gameplay and commentary? Well, you've really enjoyed talking with us, so maybe you'd like checking out our channel. Like, we used to be just the shady salesman of the PlayStation Home. It was actually ridiculous. I think about the fact that we did that and I just cringe. I really do cringe. Because like, people are out here role playing or like talking with their girlfriend and stuff. I don't know what people do on PlayStation Home anymore or VR chat besides like erotic role play and like talk about things they shouldn't. And it was so cringe that we would do that all the time. Oh my god. You think that's about it for VR chat? Yeah. So because of that, we ended up with, I think, actually, you know what? Let me look. I can actually check right now if I look. Switch accounts. Oh, that's right. Here to lurk. Oh, hi, Nunya Bones. Okay, so even further lore time. I'm pretty sure we had 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. The issue is, one of my friends at the time would like stream with music in the background, copyrighted music. And we kept telling him, hey, you know, you're going to get us in trouble if you keep doing that. And lo and behold, our channel not only got like caught for copyright, it got completely terminated because of it. And we were like, bro, what did you do? And he tried like fighting it with YouTube, but it just didn't go anywhere. But yeah, we had about 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And then we tried. I don't know if y'all can hear me. My computer took a duke. I'm gonna cry till I get my stuff back up now. What am I gonna do? This is actually so annoying that this happened. Let me know if you guys see me back online or not. Okay, where's Steam, library, launch VBridger, launch VTube Studio, launch VTube Studio. Yeah, okay, good. You guys are seeing me. Perfect, perfect. I'm glad. I'm glad I was able to start stream in enough time that it considered it like just a quick issue instead of like the end of the world as we know it. Oh wait, there we go. And connect. Yeah, okay. Oh my god. That was terrible. I'm back. Refresh, please. Oh wait, I'm muted. Am I muted? Please let me know if I'm muted, because it's showing that I'm not on here, but I wouldn't be surprised if everything sucks. Oh, apparently it mutes on reload. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, the good news is that I'm back. So what I was saying was that what I was saying is that we used to have a channel that had 1,000 subscribers to it. Issue is, my friend played copyrighted music, got us banned and terminated off of YouTube. We tried to recreate that same vibe and setting and only ended up getting about 350 subscribers. And that's really about it, honestly. It was really crazy, honestly, thinking about it. But I used to do podcasts. I think we went up to like 100 episodes, maybe. Honestly, I'd love to do podcasts again. I really enjoyed that. Actually, does anybody here listen to any podcasts? Lately, I've been listening to this one called Versus Wolves, and it's actually really cool. Basically, these two content creators that are friends, they make the other watch something that they love. It's like a book club, except with random things. Mostly political stuff. So like, imagine this. Everybody knows Cariel loves Mahjong, right? So he could come up to me and be like, hey, Pan, so for the podcast, what I'm wanting you to check out is Mahjong. I want you to play this game. I want you to try doing this. Blah, 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 blah. I hate that my attention got diverted by Mahjong. See, I know you, though. I know you. And then I'm like, okay, then for what I recommend is I don't know. I guess you play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And so we would both do that. And then I could come back and I could be like, yeah, I really enjoyed Mahjong. There's not really a specific type of board game that I could compare it to, honestly. The vibes are like this. This is how it plays. This is what I enjoy. This is what was difficult for me. And then Cariel could come back, and when it's his topic, for having played Mystery Dungeon, he could be like, yeah, this is the starter I picked. This is the partner Pokemon. And then you go through it. And that's kind of what we experienced. You know, a streamer who really likes Mahjong and is trying to drag people into it? Interesting. I wonder who that streamer could possibly be. But yeah, it's a very interesting type of book club. And the most recent topic for them was, hold on, I think I might need to recalibrate real quick. Is this better? Okay, that might be better. They're French. Cariel, are you French? Do you speak French? So, the most recent topic was the Bloodborne demake that happened, the PS1 demake of Bloodborne. And then it was liminal spaces. So one of them had to play the PS1 demake of Bloodborne that a fan made, and one of them had to play games about liminal spaces, as well as try to understand what the feeling of liminal space is. And honestly, I think that'd be really awesome to do, because like having that type of podcast setup, it makes it really cool because you get to like know your friend better, and you get to share these experiences with somebody else that others might not have. Like, you could have your friend play this really obscure game that you loved and enjoyed, and then come back and be like, yeah, I played this game in my off time, and this was my experience with it. And then you get to share each other's experiences, the feelings, how it ended. It's really cool. The only other thing that I really listen to is like Castle Super Beast, which is just a gaming podcast from people that used to be in the gaming industry. So we give pan-obscure games to play. If you're in a podcast with me, yeah. Because like, it has to be a game if it's something for stream, have to be something that I would want to play. However, if it's for like a podcast, then it's something I could do outside of stream. And that's easy for me. I can only stream it for a limited amount of time anyway because of medical stuff, right? So much fun. So much fun. But I think that'd be really fun to get back into podcasting. Even doing something like that would be really fun. I can talk, but it's a habit to fall quiet if not in a conversation. You know, another podcast idea that would be cool is like a truth or dare podcast, as long as it doesn't go too far. I mean, I heavily recommend the buddy system on streams, especially starting out. Yeah, I mean, if you're not used to commentary, it really helps to have a friend that's there with you. But like I said, I already had experience with, what's it called? I already had a bunch of experience with making content by myself. And I would have streams where I'd be streaming I'd have recording sessions where I would be recording for 9 to 13 hours straight. Like, that's not something just anybody can do. Like, a lot of people aren't able to just talk and do something at the same time. Like, they get quiet because they're focused on what they're doing instead of focusing on like talking or having commentary that's interesting or entertaining to the people around you. But, oh, you're down for podcast streams. Ooh, that'd be interesting. It would, you know what? That would be actually really interesting. 'Cause like, Cariel is more of a classics person, not retro, classics. So he knows a lot about like really good stuff that is genuinely a vibe and stuff that's like maybe scuffed. Is this just you calling me old? Listen, if anything, you're an old soul. Maybe not old, but old in heart. You're basically everyone's older brother. Like, that's like, yeah, older brother you can take. Yeah, like imagine the older brother that like has to take all the siblings everywhere in their car and grumbles about it, but is fine with it. And like the younger siblings are like, okay, I'll treat you to dinner and all that stuff. That's that's how Cariel is. And then we listen to his music and we're like, what is this? You do that with the nibblings now? Is that me? Am I the nibbling? Am I the nibbling? Purely in Unk territory. Yeah. But I just find it very interesting because I didn't get to play a lot of different games growing up. I was mainly in Pokemon World. Like, I didn't have any actual consoles except for the PlayStation 2. And the only things I played on there were Kingdom Hearts and Ratchet and Clank. The other games that I played were all shooter games with my friends. So Call of Duty, Resistance. Yes, Resistance. Rainbow Six. Army of Two. Yeah. Those were some of the games I played, but I never played stuff like Uncharted or Mass Effect or even Tomb Raider. Never played Star Fox, never played Mario. There's a lot of games out there that I just never really got a chance to play or check out because I was very limited on what I grew up with. And that's why Pokemon has such a grip on my heart, because it's always been there. So far, my art attempts have only really been silly meme ideas. This is why there's a pan frog now. It's true. I have a frog. My first console was the PlayStation PSX, so I played a bunch of Legend of the Dragoon, Final Fantasy 7 and 8, but my mom is a gamer, so I got to play on her NES and SNES. Ooh. Yeah, I've never played on those. The only thing I've played on that's like around that era is whatever Pokemon Gale of Darkness came on. I think it was the GameCube. I could be wrong though. But what I got was like I played with the Game Boy Color, Advance, SP, DS, DSi, 3DS, 2DS even. I had a lot of the handheld stuff. Yeah, I never played on Xbox either. Actually, wait, no. I played on Xbox once. I was being babysat with a friend, with one of my mom's friends, and they threw me in the garage and put me in front of the Xbox and said, yeah, this is Halo, check it out. And then I was playing and I was like, our ship crashed and there was a bunch of enemies that were like chasing after me, and I was terrified for my life. That was a horror experience right there for me, which is funny because that probably shouldn't have been horror, but I was terrified. You went back and owned an Atari for a little bit. Yeah, I've mainly, I guess really only Pokemon and Kingdom Hearts is what I played a lot of. I played the Batman Arkham series games. Oh, Dead Space. I've played all of the Dead Space games except for 3. What else have I played? I have a lot of stuff for the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 3, 4, like those were the games that those were the consoles I had the most games for. Batman Arkham looked so cool. I didn't play them, but I had a friend who did. Honestly, I highly recommend checking them out. The gameplay still holds up. It's just really fun. I remember I played, what's it called? Infamous. Yes, Infamous. I played Infamous 1 and 2. And now I'm making my roommate play it, and he's actually really enjoying it. The gameplay came out in 2009, but it really doesn't look too bad. And it's actually really fun. Like, and it just got just enough jank. Like, for example, we were playing, and this morning, he was doing a side mission where, this person comes up to you and is like, hey, the bad guys are poisoning the water tower. But for some reason, like, because he started talking to this person while enemies were chasing him. The person was getting shot at and started shimmying backwards, like dancing backwards, going, "They're infecting the water tower! We need help!" And it was so funny. I miss when games had like that small level of jank that made it really entertaining. One of the first games I remember on the Xbox was Metal Arms Glitch in the System. Ooh, nice. I don't think I've played that one, honestly. I'm trying to think about what other stuff I've played. I mainly remember playing Kingdom Hearts because I would do a lot of gummy ship racing in that game. And I really enjoyed certain levels of it because you can create the craziest gummy ships. Oh, it was only really on the original Xbox. Oh, I used to play the original Twisted Metal. That was fun. The gummy ships was the only part of Kingdom Hearts I wanted to play. You know, it really does remind me of Star Fox, the gummy ship parts. But it's fun though. It's still really fun though. I also never really played, I never played Star Fox at home, but at the daycare I went to, they had Star Fox there, and I would play that, and I'd beat Andros over and over again because there wasn't really much else to do. And it was the only game I could play where, like, because we have to swap out with other kids, so I could play that and not get invested because it's very fast to finish a level. So I could use my time to like play the game, finish a level, then pass off the controller to someone else. It's very fun. But yeah, I really like the gummy ships. I used to do that all the time when I was in middle school and high school, because my mom grounded me for having NSFW emails in my spam folder, which so much fun, by the way, because at the time, email filters were not what they are now. So my mom was like, obviously you're doing something that caused these emails to come in, and I got grounded. So I would just listen to radio talk shows and play Kingdom Hearts over and over and over again, and that was my whole day. I played Kingdom Hearts on PlayStation 2. I played it on the Game Boy, the original Chain of Memories. I actually really enjoyed it. One thing I used to do, which is actually kind of crazy, is I would, if I wanted to listen to the music from Kingdom Hearts, I would beat the boss and then I beat the final boss, put my Game Boy in my pocket with my headphones plugged into it, and then I would listen to the whole thing as I'm walking to school. Because, like, the credits would be, like, easily 10 minutes. You came up during the Crash Bandicoot era of platformers. I am terrible at platformers. Okay. My first Sonic game was Sonic Unleashed, which it is a good game. Kind of. The werewolf areas are actual hell to go through. The reason why I'm bad at platformers is probably because of Sonic games. I'm not even lying. Like, there's so many times that I'm playing a Sonic game and it just starts glitching and I don't know why. Like everything is falling apart. I'm like somehow inside of the platform I'm supposed to be standing on. I've somehow jettisoned myself into the sun when there's no jump platform anywhere nearby. Like, those games are so glitchy. And it's not the fun type of jank, it's like the I'm suffering jank. So, I never really played any platformers besides Sonic. I really enjoyed Sonic Generations though. That was really fun. I'm trying to think about what else I've played. Well, I've obviously played stuff like Animal Crossing, like Cozier Games, Stardew Valley. One thing I really do remember playing are the Ratchet & Clank games though. They're such a fun game. Actually, would you consider Ratchet & Clank a platformer or like an action game? Or both? Because yeah, you jump around and stuff, but you also shoot and fight. Action platformer? Okay. Okay, alternative question. Would you consider Assassin's Creed an action platformer? No. That's so funny though. No. It's like I just asked you if stew is a cereal. I can feel the unamusement. Honestly, I really wanted to like the Assassin's Creed games, and I did for a while there. But it stopped being interesting as soon as the game ended in Assassin's Creed 3, I think. So it was like, oh, it was building up to stuff happening in modern times, all of this cool stuff. And then, yeah, it just kind of fell apart. Cereal is soup, but the platforming in Assassin's Creed wasn't a big part of the game, really. The first game, maybe? Yeah, I was just wondering, because there is a lot of parkouring in that game, but it's not very skilled because your shoes are basically magnetized to wherever you're trying to go to. So I don't know if I'd consider that platforming. I was just thinking about it, honestly. Oh my god, I'm trying to think. I feel like Infamous is an action platformer though. 'Cause there's like, you gotta do a lot of climbing up pipes, doing specific types of jumps to get to areas. I really do enjoy that game, and I'm watching my roommate replay it and I'm like, yeah, this is still really good. This still really holds up. It's really awesome. But I don't know if you guys played Assassin's Creed and got to the third game where Desmond, I think his name is Damien or Desmond, he gets the golden apple of Eve and then the world just fucking ends and that's the end of the game. Desmond, yeah. The world just fucking ends. And that's it. Like, what was the point? Why are we still getting more Assassin's Creed games when there's no point in traveling back in time? The lore of those games was weird. See, I liked it because the whole point is throughout the entirety of history, there's been assassins that existed, and these assassins were protecting the world from basically this apple of Eden thing, this golden apple. Because if the golden apple exists, things get fucked up, right? But because so many of the assassins have been hunted down, and the assassins exist through a type of like a bloodline, you had to use that helmet to go back in your ancestry to determine where these pieces are so you can stop the enemies from getting them. They waffle on whether or not the Brotherhood of Assassins were the good guys in the later games. Yeah. It's so weird. It just felt like it did not have a good ending, and any new Assassin's Creed game has nothing to do with the whole traveling back in time to get information. It's just, you're an assassin from this time. There's no creed in that, it's just being an assassin. It don't make sense. Black Flag seemed to be really popular. Yeah, because like, don't get me wrong. Each game individually is really awesome. However, they are not connected through any type of story that fits. And that is what I don't like. Because I really would have enjoyed a modern day Assassin's Creed where you actually are like an assassin wandering around, maybe like the state of New York. But maybe they were like, oh, it'd be too much like Spider-Man or something like that. Hell, make it in Dallas. Make an assassin jump from the top of the sphere. And then you jump into dumpsters instead of barrels of wheat. You really thought the second one was going to be more modern. When it wasn't, you were confused. Yeah. It's... the overall plot, they've lost. Now they're just a series of games where, okay, you're an assassin from this time period. Oh, you know what would be sick? An assassin on a ship. You know what else would be sick? An assassin in Japan fighting samurai. You know what else would be sick? That's what they do. They're just like in a boardroom saying, you know what would be sick? If we did this. And then someone's like, ooh, yeah. Oh, and then we can have them like drive a ship. Ooh, oh, and we can have them shoot cannons. That's basically how they're making Assassin's Creed games now. It's based off of hype and excitement, and that's it. I just wish there was some type of overarching plot. It got a really rocky start as a series. Most people pirated their demo copies of the game, and there was a game-breaking flaw in the disc, so it got review bombed to hell. Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's actually crazy news. I just wish we got back to the overarching plot. Oh, the flaw was intentional, meant to catch the leakers. Oh. You know, Pokemon did the same thing, actually, where they had intentional things leaked in order to catch the people that were doing the leaking. Which, by the way, I kind of want to get a Switch too. Because I really kind of want to get the Pokopia game. I don't know when I'm going to get it, but I kind of want to get it. Especially if I keep hearing good news about the Wind and Waves game. Because I want to be so honest. I love Pokemon. However, I'm able to also be realistic when it comes to it. Now, Sun and Moon were very good games. However, it seemed to lack a very good plot. It had really good characters though. And that's about where it ended, was just really good characters. Then they had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which gave you a lot more story and was a lot more fun. And that made it so that all these characters were awesome and the story was awesome. The gameplay was just your regular Pokemon gameplay though. The Island Challenge wasn't anything to write home about, but You know, it was part of the story. It was fun. And then I keep trying to leave the console wars. I usually end up buying a Nintendo once every decade for Animal Crossing and whatever Pokemon game comes out with it. Yeah, that's me. I only end up getting the next generation of Nintendo when they announce a Pokemon game. Sun and Moon's problem was that it was on the DS. Hardware limitations hit hard for Sun and Moon. Yeah, I can see that. But my issue with Sun and Moon was the story. They fixed that in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. But it sucks to say, yeah, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are the superior version of the game, only because of that fact. And then after that, I believe, was X and Y after that? Or was X and Y before that? I don't remember, but I'm going to talk about it. X and Y was a massive letdown. The characters were lackluster. No, it wasn't? Okay. I'm still going to talk about it because I want to talk about Legend ZA. So the characters were lackluster. The plot was like very weird. X and Y was Gen 6. Yeah, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon I think is Gen 8, right? Or was it Gen 7? The generations kind of blur together for me at a certain point. But I liked X and Y because they added like a lot of new things like character customization. I loved customizing my characters. I thought that was a really awesome thing that they added. And then you get like the ability to change like certain stats with bottle caps, which I thought was awesome. X and Y, then Sun and Moon. Okay. So they made it so that like, if you have a Pokemon that is your favorite, it doesn't matter if it doesn't have the right nature or the right IVs or whatever. You can work your way towards like fixing that type of thing. Oh, sorry, no, right EVs. You can work your way towards fixing that type of thing. X and Y was the first 3D game, so get some slack from me for that. That's valid. That is so valid. The visuals were really awesome. I really did enjoy the visuals. I just was let down by the story. The story and the characters. There really wasn't any depth to anybody in that game. And then, you know, with Sun and Moon, characters were good. Story was lackluster. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, great story, great characters. And I feel like in terms of the islands, they could have done some more to make it like more astonishing. However, the only place that really gives you like this ambiance of, oh yeah, this is awesome, is either in the Ultra Space or in Team Skull's lair, where they take over a whole town. Those are the two areas that like really hit. Team Skull will forever be best team. True. And then we have Sword and Shield, which honestly, I love the characters in Sword and Shield. And I don't like the story too much. I think the story in the Isle of Armor DLC and the Crown Royal, was it Crown Royal? Crown something DLC. I think those were really good stories. I did not like the main story. Because the main story is basically, oh my god, look at Leon, he's the best trainer, he's so awesome, oh my god, that's amazing. Hey, there's going to be some major power issues in the future, but you know what we can do? We can fix that now instead of waiting for it to come up in the future. And then every single time there's an incident, Leon is the one that steps up to go and fix it. Meanwhile, we are kind of like a side character in this. Honestly, it feels like the protagonist in Sword and Shield isn't really a protagonist. It feels more like Hop is. Because he's trying to surpass his brother, trying to do all of this stuff. He finally goes against you and is like, you know what? I don't think I can be like my brother. And I think that's fine. I think I could be a professor's assistant. And that's what he decides to do. But the fact that we're not involved in a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, everything is basically hidden from us. You don't get to see all those suspicious aspects, like President Rose specifically helping orphans and orphanages in order to get strong trainers to make them do his bidding. Like, I thought that was a really good plot line, but that really wasn't talked about a whole lot in games. It was very, very implied, but not talked about. Instead, you leave it thinking, oh, President Rose was trying to do something to help. It's really weird that he was trying to do something to help something that wouldn't be an issue for hundreds of years, but he was trying. And it just felt weird because of that. And then the end game where you fucking have Shieldbert and Swordbert, or whatever the fuck their names are. I hate those two. What the fuck is up with their heads? What the hell? But like I said, the DLCs for that game were very awesome. And the one thing I do appreciate from Sword and Shield, like I said, good characters, bad story, but the gameplay of the wild areas, that was game changing. I love the wild areas because I like the idea of like semi-open world between towns. I like that idea a lot. And I think that's what Pokemon Legends Arceus really like locked in on, was having these semi-open world maps where you can travel anywhere in this one square, and it's a big square. But then there's specific areas that are just the towns that you go to. I like that personally. But then you get to what's called Scarlet and Violet. Amazing characters, amazing story. However, I'm taking off points because of the lack of ability for customization, and I'm taking off points for the gameplay and art. I feel like the entirety of the game being open world like that was a terrible idea. Like, I think it makes more sense for sectioned open world, like in Arceus. Because I do like that in the main town that you start in, where the academy is, like, you can travel everywhere in there. You can climb up walls, you can go through alleys. There's all of this interesting areas to explore in that town. But then if you leave, every other town is like maybe 6 buildings, and most of them you can't even enter. You really only get access to the place to heal and the gyms, and that's really it. Like, if every town was as in-depth as the academy or the city where the streamer was, Scarlet and Violet, yeah. Did I say Sword and Shield by accident? I meant Scarlet and Violet. Like, if every single area was as in-depth, and if they had done a better job with like the visuals of the game, I think that would have been a really, really solid game. Because a lot of people do harp on it, but I feel like they harp on it for the wrong reasons. Because the music is amazing. The reveal at the end where you get to Area 0, Oh my God, is that amazing? Scarlet and Violet also suffered from hardware limits. Yeah, it did. It really did. But the biggest issue is that I was reading some of the interviews and documents about the game, and they were really pushing, or no, the shareholders were really pushing to make this an open world game, because at the time, open world games were the new big thing. That was going to be the new thing to succeed and make this game perfect for everybody. And lo and behold, it didn't really do that. They had to reduce the content size because the Switch couldn't handle it fully. Yeah. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad that it couldn't handle it fully. And I know that, like, they created a new Switch that's supposed to be able to handle it a lot better. But it doesn't change the fact that, like, it still doesn't hold up that great. I feel like if they had separated things into open world areas, similar to, what's it called? Similar to Arceus, I feel like that would have been a very successful game. But because you're able to constantly travel from place to place to place, things get really buggy. The terrain has issues loading. And yeah, like, the amount of content they have in that game is too much for the console to actually handle. And there was ways to prevent that, but because the shareholders wanted it to be open world so badly, they had to just push forward with what they had. Which then, we get this game. And like I said, the story is really amazing. I love the story with Team Star. I love the story where you're fighting the gym badges. I love the story where you're fighting the, what are they called? I guess the past or future Pokemon. They're like, those three storylines are all so good. And the music is also really awesome. You feel sorry for Arven. I do too, honestly. I really do. It's so good. And then I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have not played the DLCs. I haven't. And I haven't really found interest in doing that. Because, I don't know. I had a lot of issues with stuff I was seeing from the DLC. And the DLC was supposed to get me really excited to play it. But instead, it left me feeling like, what the fuck is happening? Because we end up going to this rival school, basically. And then it introduces some characters to you. And then, is it the second DLC where everyone gets hypnotized into dancing? That's what I thought was weird. Because this game has a lot of dark topics to it. Losing family members, losing partners and pets, like bullying, what's it called? The issue with getting revenge. That was the first one? Yeah. It goes into all of these topics that are really hard-hitting topics. And I felt like they could have done better with the story of that. To my understanding, the characters seem really awesome, but the story was just so weird at that point. All the places take place at a school. I haven't played Legend ZA. I really want to. I just have not been able to play it yet. And I do want to play Pokopia. And I do want to play, what's it called? Waves and Winds when it comes out. Especially because it's based in Southeast Asia. All my favorite streamers are from there. So I'm very excited to, like, see what type of inspirations they take from it. Oh, stretching. Oh. But I've played a lot of even the spin-off games I've played a lot of before. I have played every Mystery Dungeon game, and it feels like for the Mystery Dungeon games, they started making the topics lighter and lighter and lighter, and it felt like I was watching like a kid's TV show instead of like a story. I think I played all the Mystery Dungeon games. That's good. Because I think Explorers of Time was probably the last best game the Mystery Dungeon series had. Because then they had the Gates to Infinity and I think Super Mystery Dungeon, both of which were like super light. The first generation of Mystery Dungeons? Why did that make you mad? I'm very curious. Red and Blue, like, honestly, I thought the story and gameplay was really good. Or is it because, like, everybody turns against you in the town? The final dungeon. Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. There's, like, a certain point you get to where it's like the challenge level of these dungeons scales. And it just gets more and more and more difficult. And I'm all for that. I just wasn't expecting that in this Pokemon game. But honestly, it is super good though. Like the story, the gameplay, all that stuff. 100 floors you gotta go and it's mostly ghosts that can walk through walls. Yeah, it is. I always made sure when I played to feed my Pokemon a bunch of gummies so that they can attack enemies through walls. That's what I always did. But yeah, it's a pain. It really is a pain. But yeah, I played through all of Gates to Infinity as well. And it was meh. I left it feeling very meh. Honestly, I think when it comes to the spin-off games that I've played, the first generation and second generation of Mystery Dungeon, those are very high up there for me. And then right under that is the Pokemon Ranger series. Because I actually really did enjoy Pokemon Ranger. It's really fun. And it's challenging too. The story was really good too, if I remember it correctly. But then, like, I'd even put Poke Park under Pokemon Ranger. And then, what other Pokemon side games are there? I guess any of them. Any of them. Pokemon Rumble, Pokemon Cafe, Pokemon Go. And then I would put Gates to Infinity down there. Because, like, there was no feeling of, like, anything. Ranger had the problem of being super slow. Yeah, I guess that's just a matter of opinion for that. But I personally enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story, the characters, and if anything, the gameplay was very challenging for me. I scratched the fuck out of my DS screen with that game. I really did. But it was very fun. The main thing I really disliked about Gates to Infinity is all of the characters had the exact same personality. And that was really, like, annoying. Because at that point, there was no point in knowing anybody's names. Because, like, what's the point? They're all just the same person. And the story was very basic. Oh, the world's gonna end. We don't know why. And then, you think it's because of this Pokemon, but oh no, that Pokemon says it's that Pokemon's fault. And they're fighting each other because of it, and that's going to end the world. And then it's like, oh no, it was Darkrai. And then they have this one part where Cresselia's like, does like a fourth wall break type thing, which is really weird to me. It wasn't it. It just wasn't it. It really wasn't. Nothing beats in Mystery Dungeon where you beat the bad guy. Wasn't that Explorers? No, it wasn't. Well, Darkrai might have been in Explorers as well. But they had Darkrai be the villain in Gates to Infinity as well. Like, yeah, basically, they made you think the whole game that the fault was of these two Pokemon that were trying to fight each other. And then you beat them and it's like, wait, why is the world still ending? And then Cresselia appears and is like, the truth is it was Darkrai. Darkrai is the reason the world is still ending. And then you have to go fight Darkrai. But yeah, I guess Darkrai was also the bad guy in Explorers of Time, Sky, and Darkness, huh? Those were all so good, though. Oh my god. You know, I really did enjoy those games. Those were so awesome. I wish Pokemon Company would treat their side games with better love, because that's one thing that I've heard a lot in reviews is Game Freak has two teams right now, Team A and Team B. What's it called? Team A handles all the mainline games, except for Legends Arceus, and I think there was another one. I think it might have been Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I think. And meanwhile, Team B handled those games. And they always had Team A focusing on the main games because they're like, oh, because we want to make sure everybody's getting this and it's going out with the anime release and the card games and all of that stuff. We want to make sure it all comes out at the same time and it's exactly what the shareholders want. Meanwhile, Team B, they still have their whimsy. They're not corpo brained. So they have a lot more fun with what they're doing. And that's why you see Legends of Arceus and you're like, oh my god, this was game changing. This was awesome. And then alternatively, one rumor I've heard is that because of how successful Pokopia has been, they're debating on, like, the Pokemon Company is debating on ending their venture with Game Freak in order to, like, use a different company. Like the company that was behind Pokopia which I think also does Arknights. Honestly, I don't know what to think about it, because I feel like part of the reason why Game Freak made another game that wasn't Pokemon related was to show that they can make good games. Like it was to show like, hey, this is what we can do when we like push ourselves without like all this corpo stuff being fed to us. But it's tough to say. It's tough to say where like the influences of corporations and money and shareholders starts and ends in regards to Pokemon. But the fans and everyone have been constantly asking for them to take more time on their games so that we're not handed like a rushed and messed up thing. Because even with the Zelda games, they announced a delay in it to make sure it was perfect, and look at it. It was fucking awesome. Darkrai was only Explorers? Let me look. Oh, it's a Super Mystery Dungeon. Let me look. It can't drop Game Freak, by the way. Game Freak owns over 30% of the Pokemon license. Yeah, I doubt they would drop Game Freak, but they might switch who's creating the final thing. It's not an option at all. I don't know. I feel like anything can happen in corporations, honestly. I wish I could remember everything that happened. The Tree of Life. Was it No, it couldn't have been this. It had to have been Gates to Infinity. Game Freak looks like it owns the majority share of the license. From what I'm seeing, it looks like Nintendo, Creature Sync, and Game Freak all have a 33% split. At least on that. Magna Gates. I remember the Magna Gates. Yeah, now I'm just looking up the different stuff of this. I remember the bitter cold, but I don't think I remember fighting it, actually. So I'm trying to remember if it was Super Mystery Dungeon I played or the other. 33 by 3 is 99. I don't know what you mean by 33 by 3 is 99. Shares of the Pokemon mice. Yeah, I just don't know why that matters. In terms of that, like, that just means they all hold equal shares. Let's see. Well, 99 isn't 100. Zach, why are you having this conversation with me right now? Because at the point of arguing about 99 not being 100, it now seems like you're just being obtuse for no reason. Like, I'm fine if I'm not wrong about it. They have equal shares of Pokemon. Yeah, it's not 100, but if they all three have equal shares, it can be 33.33333 and still be considered an equal share of 100. And I understand that Darkrai is only a boss of explorers. I have just been trying to figure out what it was that I remember where the Pokemon that you enter with and the final dungeon looks to you and is like, breaks the fourth wall to look at you and is like, you have to make the decision to come back. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I remember specifically getting to a point in one of these games where, like, the Pokemon that you're with that is not your partner looks at the screen specifically to tell you, hey, you need to make the choice to come back. Mystery Dungeon series. Oh, okay. It's Hydreigon in Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. Hydreigon senses something and leans towards the screen, indicating he's sensing the player's presence. Interesting. I wonder if what I'm remembering is like at the end where the main character disappears. Yeah, the World Core is a playable dungeon. It has 13 floors and no boss. The dungeon is accessible after the player completes the main storyline and goes to 2 dungeons, and is the final story dungeon in the game. Wait, it's also in Super Mystery Dungeon? Oh yeah, Muna tricks the people into thinking Hydreigon's evil, but it turns out it's not, and the villain is the bitter cold in this game. What the heck is a Frism? Make it possible the player might after all have a chance to return to the Pokemon world. Hydreigon tells them that a dungeon known as the World Core. There exists a place called the Hill of Universal Order, where one can make a wish, and if it can be fulfilled without disturbing the balance of the universe, will be granted. I wonder if you could just be like, nah, I'm not leaving, or I'm not coming back, and then be forced to just deal with it. Yeah, that's a really crazy thing, honestly. Well, unfortunately, it is about that time that I have to go and raid somebody and head off because I've been live for 2 hours 13 minutes. Hell yeah. So let me see if there's anybody I can raid today. Who am I following? Doesn't look like there is anybody I can raid into today. I think. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go and end stream. It has been fun hanging out. Make sure y'all get some rest, go get something to eat and drink, and